Now, I've referred to the single best question you should ask on any interview, and I did a Google Hangout about that, but the image is kind of lousy. It was one of my early Hangouts, so I decided I'm going to redo that video here. So, what is the single best question you should ask on any interview, and when should you ask it? Real simple. Well, let me start off with what a typical interview seems like. It starts off with them going, "Tell me about yourself." And you do. And you play interview karate for a while. They throw up a question at you. It's like a punch, and you've got to block it away. And they throw another one up, and you've got to use a hip check to throw them over your shoulder. And back and forth and back and forth. If you're in a profession where there's in-depth questions that could be asked, they'll get to that, and eventually they go, "So, do you have any questions for us?" You go, "Tell me about the job." They do that. You go, "That's interesting. I'm interested. Great. We'll get back to you." And that's a typical interview. Let me tell you what the single best question is and when to ask it. You walk in and sit down, and as you lower your butt in the chair, before they have a chance to speak, you go, "Thanks so much for making time to meet with me today. I reviewed the position description, and, it was really interesting to me, but I want to get your take on the job. Could you tell me about the position as you see it and what I can do to help?" Boing. What that does is, instead of waiting for the end of the interview to ask them about the job, you do it at the beginning of the interview before they get rolling. And you do that because at the end of the interview, there's really nothing you can do with that information. But sometimes, even if you've seen the job description, they've kind of changed it a little bit. Their thoughts have morphed, and they start looking at it differently. And they never change the requirements. So even if you got this description from a recruiter, it may be slightly different or wrong. So by asking this question, I took a look at the job description, and it was really interesting to me. But I want to get your take on the job. Could you tell me about the position as you see it and what I can do to help you? You get the information at the beginning when you can use it. So every time they're asking you a question, you want to tailor your answer to what matters to them. And not just talk about what you've done, but talk about what you've done that relates to what they're looking for from you. So this gives you a huge advantage from your competition, who are just sitting there like lumps waiting for the end to ask about the job. Now, you get this information at the beginning where you can use it. But there's one small problem. And that is, now that you can't ask about the job at the end, you need to be prepared with questions to replace the one about the job, right? So here's what you do. When they say, "So, do you have any questions about for us here?" You say, "Job seems great to me. I'm really interested. I do have a couple of questions. Here's question number one. Let's say I join. What are your expectations? What would I be doing the first 30, 60, 90 days? And what would your expectations of me when I come on board?" Great. If you find out that there are unreasonable expectations, isn't it better to know before you join, right? So that's one question you could ask. Here's a second one. I've done this in another video, but I'm just trying to consolidate everything here. Let's say I join, and it's a year from now. I haven't just done a good job. I've done a spectacular job, if not the best, but maybe one of the best you've ever seen someone perform. What would I have accomplished during that year that would cause you to write such a review? Boing. And right off the bat, it lets them know that you're interested in doing great work, not average work. And it's, again, giving them an idea of you, and it's giving you the idea of what you're going to be doing over that first year that would cause you to be an extraordinary employee.